Welcome back. Lawmakers making big bucks in the stock market using inside information they learn on the job.
Last hour, we talked to the man who broke that story, author Peter Schweitzer.
Well, let's assume for a second you're a United States Senator, and I come into your office. If I give you $10,000 cash in small bills and we get caught, one or both of us is going to jail. It's called bribery. But if I come to you as a senator and say, hey, I'm going to give you access to IPO shares of stock, you can buy them cheap, and it'll make you $100,000 in one day, that's completely legal.
Texas Congressman Louie Gohmert of Texas says this has to stop, and he has an idea on how to do it. Good morning, Congressman.
Good morning. And keep in mind, if anything I say doesn't make sense, it's because I played football, basketball, baseball. This isn't the nose that his nose didn't start out this crooked originally. It's been broken a few times.
You usually make sense, Congressman. What can we do to stop this? I mean, I heard a statistic about a couple hundred millionaires in the Congress. Is the Congress getting rich off inside information? And what's your thought about how to stop it?
Well, the vast majority are not getting rich by being in Congress. In fact, full disclosure, I left the bench to run for Congress so I could legislate. My wife and I cashed out all our assets except our home so that we could live while we were running for Congress full time. So I don't have any stocks, but it is, if you're on a committee that deals with an area in which stock is involved and you have a hearing, and at the end of the hearing it's something detrimental to that stock, well, I would imagine people are going to think, you know, I might ought to sell that stock before it drops too much further. But it is a problem, and let me just tell you how things have evolved. You know, you've used the example of you can't just walk into congressman or senator's office and give them $10,000 in small bills. Well, actually, when I moved into my new office this year, I said, what is with this huge safe? And they said, well, you got to keep in mind, the early 60s, people could bring in large amounts of cash in small bills. You can't do that anymore. It was a bad idea.
Now it's being done in, I guess,
we can do.
It's been being done in other ways. Of course, one of the things that you're putting forward, a rule proposal that would basically have all congressmen, lawmakers put their assets in a blind trust, so that if there was some sort of legislation on something, they might not know that they're holding a health care stock in their blind trust, right?
That's right. That's exactly. And presidents do it. Since Lyndon Johnson, that's been done. A lot of executive officers have to do that. Of course, if you're a czar, I don't think that applies to you. That's why someone's concerned about czars. But yeah, if you just had members of Congress put their assets in a blind trust, those kind of fungible things, there's no temptation. You're not controlling it. And then it eliminates any allegations that you did profit from inside information, because that's just not right, of course.
Well, stay on top of this for us, and it certainly sounds like this Peter Schweitzer book and interview certainly lit a fire.
And we're working up. Well, and if you read the material, 2004 to 2008, a study was conducted. You had a bunch of congressmen who did worse than the national average. How stupid have you got to be to even make worse than the national average?
That is
but if it's in a blind trust, you don't work.
Congressman Louie Gohmert, we appreciate you joining us
with it
this morning.
Thanks so much, Congressman.
Sorry we're out of time on this, but Congressman, thanks so much.
My pleasure. My pleasure.